Ethan Cole's life had never been simple. Being a single dad meant every decision weighed not just on him, but on his young daughter too. When bills piled up and his daughter's school fees and medicine were overdue, a wrong choice seemed like the only option. One morning, while fixing a car at his small workshop, a stranger approached him, handing him a thick envelope full of cash. With a simple, ugly proposition: ruin a blind date, make it awkward enough so the girl never wants to see the man again. Ethan, blinded by desperation, agreed without thinking twice. He was told the girl was a dwarf, and a subtle prejudice crept into his mind. She must be fragile, insecure, easy to embarrass. But the moment Ethan walked into the cozy Italian cafe, he realized everything he'd assumed was wrong. Lily Harper was small in stature, yes, but she radiated confidence and warmth that filled the room. Her sunflower yellow dress and sparkling eyes gave her a presence far bigger than anyone could expect. Ethan tried to follow through, rudely interrupting her, checking his phone constantly, making rehearsed, sarcastic comments, but Lily didn't flinch. She didn't apologize, didn't shrink. Every cheap attempt to discomfort her only met calm wit and quiet strength. When Ethan crossed the line and made a comment about her height, Lily simply looked at him and said, "If you think putting me down will make you feel bigger, you're mistaken." Her words cut deeper than any anger could. Over dinner, Lily shared her world with him, how people often underestimated her, assuming she couldn't achieve much, how she had faced humiliation, and even had her life misrepresented, but she never let cruelty define her. Ethan listened, his heart heavy with guilt, realizing that his plan wasn't just a betrayal of Lily, but of the values he wanted to teach his daughter. In the bathroom, staring at his reflection, he saw a man capable of so much more than deception. Returning to the table, Ethan confessed everything: the offer, the money, the lie. Lily didn't yell, didn't storm out, didn't dramatize. She just listened, then said softly, "You're the first man who told me the truth before dessert. That says more about you than your actions ever could." That night they parted, not with anger, but with a strange clarity. Ethan returned the money, took extra shifts, and slowly started building the life he wanted to model for his daughter. Future meetings with Lily weren't driven by schemes or manipulation. They were honest, small steps of trust and friendship. When Lily met his daughter, she knelt down to her level, asked about her favorite stories, and became part of their lives, not as a novelty, but as a genuine presence. Watching Ethan grow into a more responsible and present father, Lily saw the potential for real change. Time passed, and the real transformation came in the quiet moments, reading bedtime stories, laughing without restraint, teaching a child that kindness is strength, not weakness. One evening, Lily told Ethan that the worst attempt anyone had made to hurt her had accidentally revealed the best version of him. Ethan realized that redemption wasn't a single act, but a pattern of consistent honesty and accountability. Their story became less about the scheme that started it and more about the choices they made every day. Choices rooted in truth, respect, and courage. Life wasn't perfect, but it was real. And in those ordinary, brave choices, they both found something extraordinary: trust, love, and the quiet power of a single, truthful reaction to change everything. The next few weeks unfolded slowly, like a delicate dance of trust and curiosity. Ethan couldn't shake the memory of Lily's calm reaction that night. The way she hadn't yelled, hadn't fled, hadn't even looked disgusted. It was as if her very presence reminded him that strength didn't always shout. Each morning he found himself replaying the moments at the cafe, the small but piercing comments she'd made, the way she had challenged him without aggression, the faint, knowing smile she carried like a shield that didn't need to be sharp. Lily had spoken about her life, yes, but more than that, she had spoken about perspective. How every moment of humiliation she had faced had been a choice to either crumble or rise stronger. Watching her, Ethan realized how little he truly understood courage. He had thought money and manipulation could solve everything. But courage, Lily showed him, was quiet, deliberate, and deeply human. He called her the next day, nervously, unsure if she would even answer. To his surprise, she did. Her voice was warm, steady, and something inside him shifted immediately. Their conversation started with small talk, books, movies, the best trails for weekend hikes, but it quickly became something richer. Ethan told her about his daughter, his life as a mechanic, and the way loneliness sometimes crept into his home, even when his child was there. Lily listened without interruption, without judgment. Then she shared her own truths, not about schemes or secrets, but about the small way she had built her own resilience. "It's funny," she said. "The people who try to push us away sometimes end up showing us the path we should have taken anyway." Meeting again in person, Ethan noticed how different it felt without the weight of deceit hovering over him. He arrived early, nervous but honest, and Lily greeted him with the same warmth as before. No awkwardness, no pity. They laughed over coffee, sometimes in sync, sometimes just comfortably sharing space in silence. Ethan's rehearsed jokes meant to undermine had been replaced by real curiosity. He wanted to know everything about her life. The books she edited, the kids she helped at her community center, the small but meaningful triumphs that never made headlines. Lily noticed the change in him too. She could see it in his eyes, the absence of pretense, the openness that came from telling the truth, no matter how uncomfortable. One evening, they took a walk along the riverbank, the kind of quiet place where city noise softened into whispers. Lily spoke of expectations, societies, others, and the ones we place on ourselves, and how she had learned to navigate them without losing her own voice. "It's exhausting sometimes," she admitted, "but easier when you don't let other people's judgments decide your worth." Ethan nodded, feeling each word land like a small stone settling into place. It struck him how often he had let fear dictate his actions. Fear of not having enough money, fear of failing as a father, fear of losing control, and Lily's steadiness made those fears seem smaller, almost manageable. Their connection deepened in small ways. Ethan sharing stories about his daughter's antics, Lily recounting the funniest moments from her work with children. They learned to celebrate each other's victories, no matter how small, and to acknowledge mistakes without shame. One rainy afternoon, when Ethan had dropped a wrench and cursed himself for being clumsy, Lily laughed, not mockingly but genuinely. "See, perfectly human," she said. And Ethan realized he had spent so long hiding his imperfections that he had forgotten how freeing it felt to be accepted as he was. He began opening up about his past, how loneliness had weighed on him, how the money-driven choices had once seemed urgent but were empty in the long run. And Lily listened, understanding the difference between confession and apology, between storytelling and judgment. Weeks turned into months, and the rhythm of their meetings became comforting. Ethan introduced Lily to small, everyday parts of his life, the mechanic shop where he worked long hours, the park where he played with his daughter, the tiny rituals that made his world feel like home. Lily, in turn, let him into her quiet routines, book readings, community center sessions, the way she arranged her apartment with care, surrounding herself with the people and things that mattered most. Every interaction revealed more depth, more humanity, and Ethan began to see that what he had first dismissed as a mission to ruin was instead the beginning of something that could grow into trust, companionship, and perhaps even love. The turning point came subtly during a weekend picnic by a small lake. Lily's laughter rang out as Ethan's daughter chased after ducks, her tiny hands flapping in excitement. Watching them, Ethan felt a surge of gratitude and a pang of guilt. He had been so ready to hurt someone, and yet here was Lily bringing joy, trust, and light into their lives. She noticed his distant look and asked softly, "What's on your mind?" Ethan swallowed, admitting his fears, his insecurities, and his regret. Lily reached out, resting a hand lightly on his arm. "You've already shown you can change. That counts for more than all the mistakes you've made." Her words, simple and steady, felt like a lifeline. From that day forward, Ethan no longer carried the weight of the past schemes. He realized that trust once broken could be rebuilt with patience, honesty, and daily effort. Lily's influence transformed him, not through lectures but by example. She treated everyone she met with respect, even when they underestimated her. She met cruelty with composure, indifference with curiosity, and skepticism with grace. Ethan found himself striving to mirror that behavior, not to impress her, but because he wanted to be the kind of man his daughter could look up to, the kind who chose integrity over convenience, empathy over manipulation, and courage over fear. Their relationship blossomed quietly, built on shared values rather than grand gestures. They celebrated small victories, finishing a project at work, conquering a personal fear, making each other laugh after a long day. And slowly, in that rhythm of life, Ethan realized that the day he had planned to deceive Lily had turned into the day that had changed him forever. Lily hadn't just survived the attempt to hurt her. She had illuminated a path for him to follow, one where honesty, respect, and compassion defined not only his interactions with her, but with the world, and most importantly, with his daughter. In the end, what could have been a story of betrayal became a story of growth, redemption, and the transformative power of meeting cruelty with dignity. Ethan had started as a man willing to do wrong out of desperation, but under Lily's quiet, unwavering strength, he learned that the best choices weren't made out of fear or obligation. They were made out of courage, clarity, and love.